Hi, I'm Richard Cranstone, a partner at Playfair Partnerships, with the next in our series of videos following on from those posted by our senior partner John Playfair and our managing partner Simon Playfair. So after another day's hard homeschooling, I've managed to assemble my production crew by banning PlayStation and House Party for the duration, so they can help me produce this video on the subject of furloughing. And who would have thought as we entered the new decade that the word furloughing would become such a well-used word in everyday conversation? People don't seem to talk about the weather anymore. It's all, have you been furloughed? Or are you furloughed on 80% or full pay? Etc, etc. Furloughing seems to have become the accepted word for the coronavirus job retention scheme. And when the Chancellor announced the scheme the day after lockdown, it all sounded so simple. The government would pay 80% of the salary of anyone that would have otherwise have been laid off due to coronavirus, up to a maximum of £2,500. Simple. However, as the days and then weeks have passed, all the details that I'm sure the Chancellor had not even contemplated began to get questioned, and now the HMRC guidelines run to many pages. Some of the queries our clients immediately raised included: does the 80% cover employers' costs, such as employers' NI and pension contributions? We now know that it is the 80% or £2,500 plus the employer's national insurance and minimum pension contributions under auto-enrolment. How will I get the money? We now know there is a new online web portal to submit a claim, and the funds should be with the employer 6 days later. The portal has gone live this week, and it is recommended that any business requiring funds to cover wage payments at the end of April need to have submitted a claim by the 22nd. This is a new piece of HMRC software written in a matter of weeks, so we all wait with bated breath to see how that works out. When will I have to repay the money? It was pretty clear from the start that this was to be a grant and therefore would not need repaying. But it has since been confirmed that as the payroll costs paid will be tax allowable, the grant will be included as income for tax purposes. What about my staff on 0 hours contracts with no set salary? We now know that if an employee is on variable pay, the amount that can be claimed is based on 80% of the hire of the same month's wages from the previous year, or the average for the 2019-20 tax year to the end of February. What about if I only need an employee for half the time as my business has shrunk but is still operating? In my opinion, this is one of the shortfalls in the system, as once an employee is furloughed, they cannot work for you at all. For example, where our clients take a full bookkeeping service, their accounting records are being maintained and they know who is paying and who isn't, for example. But others who maintain an in-house bookkeeper have this difficult decision as to whether to keep paying their bookkeeper to ensure they have financial information at their fingertips, or furlough them and carry on a little bit blind on their numbers. The bookkeeper is probably not fully utilised, so ideally would be furloughed for half the time, but this is not allowed under the scheme. And it is difficult to only pay an employee 50% of their salary for half their time when their colleagues are furloughed receiving 80% of their pay. The wording suggests that if furloughed, an employee cannot be generating revenue or providing a service to the company. So this seems to lead to the fact that they can carry on an online training course, etc. while furloughed, but not a lot else. We've then recently learned an employee had to be on the payroll at the 28th of February 2020 to be eligible to be furloughed. Very soon it became apparent that there were a large number of employees who had changed jobs in early March and therefore were not on their new employer's payroll at the 28th of February, but were working for them when the lockdown came. So, unless their old employer was willing to put them back on the payroll and furlough them, they fell down a gaping hole. Only last week it was announced that to shut that loophole, the date would be extended from the 28th of February to the 19th of March. But over the weekend, when people examined the small print, an employee had to be RTI'd by the 19th of March. In other words, the new employer needed to make their online return to HMRC by the 19th of March, confirming that the new employee was on the payroll. But in reality, the vast majority of employers running a monthly payroll would not submit an RTI until near the end of March. So at the moment, this extension does not help all that it is designed to. I suspect we may see another change. Then clients raise the question of where overtime, commission and bonuses came into the calculation. and this is where the overlap with our friends in the legal profession occurs. Not only does the furlough scheme have a financial impact, but also an employment law angle in relation to employment contracts. Current wording of the scheme suggests that commission, etc. can be included in the calculation if it is written into the employee's contract. So obviously some review and/or liaison with your employment lawyers may be required, if not only to ensure your employees agree to be furloughed, as you are in effect changing the terms of their employment contract. It has to be said that furloughing staff can be one of the major financial impacts on a business during this period, but we cannot forget there is a people impact into all of this. All employees will be concerned about their roles, not just in the short term, but in the longer term. And all we would say is ensure you stay in regular contact with your team and keep them updated on their situation. There is a very thin line for SMEs and owner-managed businesses between doing the right thing and ensuring their business is still here in the future. However, it should be remembered that one of the main reasons for the job retention scheme is to ensure as many businesses as possible come out the other side. As we have worked through the furloughing scheme with our clients, there have been other questions and twists and turns relating to their specific industries, but I'm sure there will still be more to come. The furloughing scheme, and more importantly the calculation of the likely grant receivable, have become cornerstones of our revised financial forecasts that we have or are in the middle of preparing for all our clients. As John alluded to in his video, all of these forecasts are having to be extended into 2021 and 2022. As a knock-on effect of this lockdown on the financial outlook of all our clients is longer than just the length of the lockdown. For example, our retail clients are already being told that the budgets for 2021 for their store buyers will be reduced. At the moment, the job retention scheme runs until the end of June, and although no one knows yet, between now and then it is anticipated that life will slowly start to return to normal. However, it is unlikely that will happen overnight, and as indicated by some large businesses over the weekend, they will gradually start to open stores and warehouses, and this will no doubt require some staff to be furloughed beyond the end of June. Whether the government will extend the scheme further to allow for this or come up with a new approach remains to be seen, but it just feels that they will need to do something, as otherwise a lot of employees who were furloughed during the lockdown may end up being made redundant anyway if their employers cannot return to full trade immediately. As always, if any of our clients need us during the lockdown, they know they can contact us as we are all working remotely, be it by phone or video conference. And if anyone needs any assistance with forecasting their furloughing claims or wider business forecasts, our details are included in this video. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video.